everyone. Today I'm going to present you a tutorial on topic Circle of Willis. In this video we are going to cover the formation, branches and the clinical anatomy related to Circle of Willis. So let's start. Nowadays, cerebrovascular diseases like your hemorrhage, your embolism, these are the third most common cause of death, and all the neurological signs depends on the site of the lesion. Therefore, knowledge of your blood supply of the brain is very essential for treatment of these diseases, right? Our brain is one of the most active organ of the body. It receives 20% of the total cardiac output and consumes one-fifth of the total oxygen used by our body. Although it is just 2% of the total body weight, but it is one of the most metabolically active organ of the body. Right? This is your arc of aorta. From arc of aorta there arises three branches: brachiocephalic trunk, left subclavian and left common carotid. Right? The brachiocephalic trunk further divides into two branches: right subclavian and right common carotid. This is your right subclavian and this is your right common carotid. The right subclavian artery further gives a branch, that is your vertebral artery, right? And from the left subclavian there also rises a branch, that is the vertebral artery, right? So the blood supply of the brain, basically it is provided by four arteries. That is your two vertebral arteries and two internal carotid arteries. So we saw that the vertebral arteries are arising from the subclavian artery, right and left subclavian artery respectively, right? The internal carotid artery is formed by bifurcation of right and left common carotid arteries at C4. So this is your right common carotid artery and this is your left common carotid arteries. So these arteries respectively divides into two, bifurcates, right? They bifurcates at the level of C4, right? They are bifurcating at the level of C4 and then it forms internal carotid artery. This is your internal carotid and this is your internal carotid artery. So your vertebral arteries joins together to form basilar artery, right? This basilar artery, the branches of your basilar artery and internal carotid arteries of right and left side, they together anastomose at the base of the brain around interpeduncular fossa and they forms a six-sided polygon. And this polygon of arteries is known as your circle of Willis. So your two vertebral arteries, these vertebral arteries add to your lower border of the pons. They enter the skull through your foramen magnum and at the lower border of the pons they form the basilar artery, right? These two vertebral arteries at the lower border of the pons they form the basilar artery, right? And then it ascends upwards and on the anterior surface of your pons at the upper border of the pons it terminates and divides into right and left posterior cerebral arteries here, right? It is dividing into posterior cerebral arteries. These two branches are your posterior cerebral arteries, right? So these arteries are formed at the upper border of the pons and basilar artery is formed at the lower border of the pons and circle of Willis is present in the interpeduncular fossa and it is a six-sided polygon of arteries. and it is providing blood supply to the brain. And the two main arteries are vertebral arteries and internal carotid arteries. It means four arteries in total, right? Now the internal carotid artery, it enters your cranial cavity through the carotid canal of your temporal bone, and then it uh, it travels through your cavernous sinus, right? And it pierces the dural roof of your sinus, and then divides into middle cerebral artery and anterior cerebral artery. The middle branch is larger and the anterior cerebral branch is smaller, right? So the internal carotid artery enters the cranial cavity through your carotid canal, then it travels through your cavernous sinus, and then it pierces the dural roof of your sinus and divides into middle cerebral artery and anterior cerebral artery. This is your internal carotid artery. This internal carotid artery has been dividing into two branches, your middle cerebral and anterior cerebral, right? We are going to study the branches of circle of Willis in three parts. First is your vertebral artery, then the branches of your basilar artery, then the branches of your internal carotid artery, right? The cranial part of vertebral artery, then cerebral part of internal carotid artery and basilar artery, right? So the first branch of your vertebral artery is your meningeal branch. The meningeal branch supplies your falx cerebelli, that is your a sheath of your dura mater. So basically this is supplying the dura mater of your posterior cranial fossa, the meningeal branch. Then we have medullary branch. So your medullary branch, it supplies your, as the name suggests, it supplies the medulla oblongata. Then we have anterior spinal artery and posterior spinal artery. These two branches, as the name suggests, they supply the spinal cord. They run across the spinal cord and they supply the spinal cord, the anterior and posterior spinal artery. Then we have posterior inferior cerebellar artery. The posterior inferior cerebellar artery, this is the largest branch of your cranial part of vertebral artery, and it supplies your cerebellum, as the name suggests, cerebellar artery. It means it is supplying cerebellum, right? So these were the branches of your vertebral artery. Then we have basilar artery. So first is your pontine branches. So here you can see numerous number of pontine branches. These are your pontine branches, right? So these are many in number, and they, as the name suggests, pontine, it means they are supplying the pons. So I previously told you that the basilar artery is formed at the lower level of your pons, right? And it bifurcates into two at the upper level of pons, right? So in between, in the pons, the basilar artery gives some pontine branches and it supplies the pons, right? Now the next branch of your basilar artery is labyrinthine artery. The labyrinthine artery is a long branch and it is arising from your basilar artery, and it runs along with the vestibulocochlear nerve and it supplies your internal ear, right? It supplies internal ear and it is an end artery. The next branch we have superior cerebellar artery. The superior cerebral artery, it winds around your cerebral peduncle, and it supplies the superior surface of cerebellum. As the name suggests, superior cerebellar. So it is supplying the superior surface of cerebellum. Then we have posterior cerebral artery. The posterior cerebral artery, it passes laterally along your superior border of the pons, parallel to the superior cerebral artery, and it supply the posterior part of your cerebrum, right? The posterior part of your cerebral hemisphere. We are going to study the branches of internal carotid artery, the cerebral part of your internal carotid artery, right? As we completed with the vertebral and basilar part. So now first is your posterior communicating artery. It is an anastomotic vessel and it is connecting the posterior cerebral artery to middle cerebral artery, right? This is your posterior cerebral, this is your posterior communicating branch, and this is your middle cerebral. And here we have anterior cerebral. So your basilar artery divides into anterior cerebral and middle cerebral artery. The middle cerebral artery constitute of your 30% of your carotid blood flow, and it is the larger terminal branch of your internal carotid artery, larger terminal branch, and 30% of your blood flow, carotid blood flow. Then we have anterior cerebral artery. This anterior cerebral artery is the smaller terminal branch of your internal carotid artery, right? And it supplies your, it basically gives some branches distal to your anterior communicating artery, and it supplies the medial part of your orbital surface of frontal lobe, right? Anterior cerebral artery supplying medial part of your orbital surface of frontal lobe. Frontal lobe is the lobe of your cerebrum, right? Now we have anterior choroidal artery, right? This is your anterior choroidal artery. This is a branch of your middle cerebral artery. So anterior choroidal artery. It is a long, slender branch, right? And this artery is most susceptible to thrombosis. The anterior choroidal artery is the artery which is most susceptible to thrombosis, and therefore it is referred as artery of cerebral thrombosis, right? And anterior choroidal artery supplies the structures in the brain that is important for your motor control and vision. So it is supplying the areas that is important for motor control and vision, the anterior choroidal artery. And similarly we have posterior choroidal artery also, which arises from your posterior cerebral artery. The posterior cerebral artery is a branch of your basilar artery, right? Then we have some striate branches, lateral striate branches and medial striate branches, right? These are basically some small branches. There is one more important branch which is not marked in this diagram, that is your ophthalmic artery. The ophthalmic branches arises from your internal carotid artery immediately after when it comes out of your cavernous sinus, right? So these ophthalmic artery, it's a very important artery as it supply the structures of your orbit, including your eyeball, right? So ophthalmic artery arises from your internal carotid artery, right? So now we have clinical anatomy of a circle of Willis. So first we have congenital cerebral aneurysm. cerebral aneurysm. What is aneurysm? Aneurysm is basically ballooning or a weakened area in your artery, right? So what happens, it occurs basically at the site where the two arteries join in formation of your circle of Willis, and it is a congenital deficiency of your tunica media. Tunica media is a layer of your wall of your artery, and it is made up of elastic tissue, right? And this is also known as berry aneurysm, as it is, the aneurysms are basically berry shaped, so therefore it is also known as berry aneurysm, and it occurs at the site where the arteries join in the formation of your circle of Willis, and it is a congenital it is a congenital deficient it is a congenital aneurysm, and it occurs due to deficiency of your tunica media in the wall of artery. Then we have subarachnoid hemorrhage. What happens, sometimes the berry shaped cerebral aneurysm ruptures in the interpeduncular cistern, right? And it leads to bleeding and severe pain in the head, followed by mental confusion, right? So the subarachnoid hemorrhage, it is commonly result from your rupture of your these congenital berry aneurysm in the interpeduncular cistern, right? And the patient suffers with severe pain in the head and then mental confusion, right? Death may also occur immediately, or sometimes the patient survives, as there occurs first bleeding, and then the patient dies after a few days or weeks later, right? So the death may quickly occur sometimes, or sometimes the patient may survive the first bleeding and then die after few days or weeks, right? And I already told you that the anterior choroidal artery, which is a branch of your middle cerebral artery, is most prone to thrombosis. Basically, all the cerebral thrombosis, it affects your middle cerebral artery or its branches, because it is a direct continuation of your internal carotid artery. So your middle cerebral artery or the branches of middle cerebral artery is most prone to thrombosis, right? And we studied about the congenital cerebral aneurysm and subarachnoid hemorrhage, right? So this was all about the circle of Willis, the polygonal structure of arteries which supply your brain, right? So I hope everything is clear to all of you. If you have any doubts, let me know in the comment section below, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Thank you.